the bottom blue line is torque, and then the bottom red line is torque. Just look at the difference. I want to do a super quick intro here, and I want to explain something. In this video, you might see me tripping over my words a little bit. That's just because I was on lack of sleep. I was up a couple of those days, about 2:30 in the morning. Just couldn't go back to bed. Both my kids have been sick. I had two really close friends reach out to me recently, and they know what I've been through. They basically told me they no longer wanted to live. They thought about taking their own lives. So I have a lot of stuff outside of the business too that I'm trying to do. Ultimately, when I'm here though, I know my limitations. So when I do videos, that's extra. That's stuff that I normally don't do. When I'm actually working, headphones are on, 100% focused, and I know when I need to stop, either if I'm, tired, sick, or if I'm here late. With that being said though, I felt like this was a good time to be able to get the camera out and educate and share my knowledge and show you guys what can go on during a tune. And a lot of people just see the power pulls at the end, and they don't realize what can go on. That's the other thing too. I tell people a tune will take 3 to 4 hours. Some people don't get that. Some people don't understand. Or they'll tell me, well, my buddy went elsewhere and it took him about 45 minutes to an hour. A tune should definitely not take 45 minutes to an hour. With that being said, hopefully you enjoy. So we have this EM1 up on the dyno. Now, if you watch my other videos, then I did talk about this, and I think if you go back 2 videos or 3 videos, long of the short though, it looks fairly stock besides the header, but it does have some Skunk 2 stuff inside of the head, including a cam. Now, the goal for this customer was not to have anything super crazy, rowdy, in a sense where he's going to get every single last drop of horsepower. That is why the stock intake box is still on there, and that ultimately is why the exhaust hasn't been changed by us, more so. So I'm going to go into a little bit of details though, and I'm going to talk a little bit here. So the car's already been dyno tuned, and I was having an issue. Not only was I having an issue with the power level, I'm not expecting to make a whole bunch on this car because we have a stock air box. If we really wanted to gain all the power, we should have a different intake manifold on it, and we should have a different exhaust on it. But that's besides the point. I do have a power goal in mind where he should be at, and we were short of it. But not only were we short of it, the actual power band itself, I did not like how it was. I didn't like it. And let me say this too. I kind of know how much power we're expecting to make on this, don't get me wrong, but I don't know what the power band's going to look like. So as I'm tuning it with the header connected, I'm just not liking the results of how the power band looks. And I will print up a dyno sheet here, and I'm going to show you guys in a second. But let me just finish talking. So in this case, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, I'm looking over the car. I talked to the owner. I said, how long have you had this car? How long have you owned it? Got some more info from him, and I pulled the distributor cap off in the rotor. Now, let me go really quick and grab that. So here's the distributor cap in the rotor. The rotor might be a little bit hard to see here. Now, it still might be hard to see, but you can see all the junk. Look at the connection. Look at the points. See how they're kind of corroded over in a sense. A lot of debris in there. And then look at the rotor. Rotor's just chewed up. So replaced it with a brand new one, and I did a pull. Without even touching anything. Instantly gained about 12 to 14 more horsepower just from that alone. So I'm a little confused right now because my video's upside down, so it's throwing me for a loop, which I'll fix before I edit it. I don't know why my phone does that. Anyways, just from getting a better spark, And I did the spark plug wires too. He had some old set, he had an old pair on there, and the spark plug's already been replaced. But just from having now a better spark, we gained about 12 to 14 horsepower. But don't fall into the gimmick of all these spark plug wires that claim they're going to give you power. NGK Blues, one of the best spark plug wires out there that you can get. Don't go crazy. Back in the day, they used to have these spark plug wires. I don't even remember what the name was, but they were advertised in a magazine. I actually want to say, I won't say the name, but if you're that old and you remember, I believe they were red, and they had grounding straps like on each one, and that was the whole big gimmick in the magazine, and gain power, yada yada. Don't fall into gimmicks like that, and definitely don't fall into gimmicks about spark plugs, and don't go run one of those like Bosch E Platinum plugs, whatever has like the 4 tips or whatever. So that's not where I'm going with it. But what I'm more so saying is routine maintenance. So what routine maintenance can do? It's a standard spark plug and rotor, nothing crazy, nothing fancy. These spark plug wires, there's a lot of other companies out there that are a lot more money, but these work. NGK is a solid brand. Now, with that being said, and I'm gonna go print up the sheet, but I want to, before I even get into the sheet, I don't want to forget here. This is the big thing I tell people. No matter if you make power or if you have an issue on the dyno, I'm going to try to figure it out if I can, if time allows, and or I'm going to tell you how you can make more power. So if this car had a turbo on it, and just because we make 400 horsepower on, let's say 12 pounds of boost, doesn't mean we can't be more efficient. Usually it would be like, hey, if you go with a better intake manifold, or if you go with a bigger exhaust, you're going to make more power and or the same power on less boost. Same power, less boost, well, what does that equate to? You're stressing the whole system out a lot less. That's what it means. If you can make 400 horsepower on 4 less pounds of boost, you're going to be in a better situation. You're going to be in a better spot. Now, that goes without saying, when we're having an issue like this, I want to 100% verify it's not something that I can't physically see. So as we're losing the power in the power band, I'm also seeing it on the map. Because that's the other thing. To make power, there's no crazy equation. The more air we can force in the engine, the more fuel you're going to need, because we need to get the air fuels correctly, and that's going to result in more power. Now, yes, there's a little tricks here and there and what you can do, but we're not talking about that. We're just talking about the overall, the bigger picture. So currently right now, his header is disconnected from the exhaust. It is open header. He has one of these Mugen twin loop type mufflers. I should have brought my light, but I didn't. So you can see how it goes back and all. I wanted to make sure this muffler, and I don't think it's a real Mugen style, but I wanted to make sure the muffler wasn't clogged. Now, I did a pull on it. You can actually see, I did not see that beforehand. Let me go grab my light really, really quickly, because, nope, I can't turn on my flash. Hold on one second. So that piece was not in there before my last dyno pull. So the last dyno pull I did with open header. And we instantly gained, let me think here, about 25 more horsepower. But we're still having the dips in the power band that I'm seeing, which now can come into the, now we throw in the mix that there's no longer, we know the exhaust isn't clogged because the header is open. The header is open. So now we start asking ourselves, is this box really restricting us that much? Which, think about this. What did we do when we opened up the header? And it's open exhaust now, open header. Well, now we created a lot less back pressure, especially if there was a clog in the system. So we can get air out quicker, but we're not getting air in any quicker because of the box. So is that the power band dip that we're seeing? Yes, very well possibly can. Now, before I even go print the dyno sheets and get them up, and I'll sit down and I'll talk to you guys even more, I'm not going to show you guys the numbers, because I've said this before on my videos, and everybody, well, some people, not everybody, they have this understanding that if they read something on the internet, it must be true. And one of the things about dynos and dyno jets and how they rate higher. That's not always the case. Our dyno, I've said in many videos, compared to others, especially locals, you can go get tuned elsewhere and put it on here. It will make 11% horsepower, 11% less power. That doesn't mean you made less power. We're talking about untouched. Take your car from somewhere else, put it on here, untouched, do a pull, 11% lower. We've tested this theory out. We have dyno sheets. So I'm not going to post a peak number because that's not what the video is about. That's not what the whole reason I'm talking and yapping, you can say, and whatnot. What I want also people to take in consideration is just because you make power, and I've said it before, and I literally just said it probably a couple minutes ago, just because you make power doesn't mean you can't make more. And just because you have a problem on the dyno, you would hope that whoever's tuning your car is going to give you some insight. And that's what I do here. No matter if you make power, I'm always looking at how you can make more power. And or if you have a problem like we're kind of seeing here, if I didn't have the time and the time didn't allow it, and the header 2 bolts on there, we just did the header and the exhaust, so they're fresh, they're not rusted on there. It took literally about 2 minutes to take it off. If I have the time to try to troubleshoot something on the dyno within the allotted time period that I have set aside for your car, I'm going to do so. And if I can't figure it out, I'm going to give you a list of problems that I think it could be. And then during that whole way, if you want to try to diagnose it with, if you want to do it in your garage, if you want to do it with a buddy, I'm there to help. It doesn't matter. There's a whole thing, and I get it, I understand it, and you know, I'll be the first one to say time is money. But when you come here, and I've said it before, you're treated like family. So just because, you know, we can diagnose problems, and depending on how busy you are, we might have to get it back in, but if you wanted to go elsewhere or bring it home to your house and try to diagnose it, that doesn't mean that I'm just going to literally put up a wall and be like, you can't talk to us. Nope, you can't. If we're not fixing it, we're not going to tell you. We're not going to help you at all. That's not what it's about, and I've said it before, and I think I said it in my last video. And I got a lot of stuff going on right now, so if you've been watching my videos weekly, and I've been repeating myself or whatever, it is what it is. I got running on a little bit lack of sleep. Kids have been sick, going through some medical stuff, and don't want to go in too much detail on stuff like that. But anyways, that is my whole thing that I'm trying to let you know. Make sure I tell, and we get the emails, we get the phone calls. Hey, I'm shopping around. Do so. Do so. But I'll say this, don't try to waste too much time on people. You know, we get some messages and hey, I want a full build sheet, what part number's listed. And then when we send you something, we don't ever hear back from you. You know, we can't do that anymore. We don't have the time. But do your research and homework. Go talk to the owner if you can. I say that because there's some days where you can come here and I'm not available. It's just with how busy we are and how busy I am. You got to set something up. But if you set something up and hey, I want it, can Bob spare 5 minutes of a phone call? Yeah, sure. I want to talk to you. If you got questions and you've never been here before, I want to reassure you that you're going to be able to talk to me. And if you don't watch these videos, well, then you wouldn't know. You don't know how I run things. You just see pictures possibly on Instagram or Facebook, or you just found us on Google. So let me go print these sheets up really quick, and I'll be right back. So, of course, my printer does not want to work today. Green line is the car we're talking about right now in the dyno. Red line is a totally different car, different setup that was making power, and you can see that everything is flowing smoothly. These little hiccups, or whatever you want to call them in the red one, that's more so dyno noise that we're seeing. Certain cars, the longer the gear ratio and the longer it takes to climb, you're going to see a little bit of a better resolution. But what we're looking for and what I'm trying to show you guys is, do you see how this is dipping? Do you see how this dips right here as well? That is a restriction or a problem that we're facing. Even right here, you see how the red line is going straight up and then it's hitting VTEC and going upwards. This case, it's going up and then down, and then it's climbing up again slowly but surely. The green one, the gear ratio when I'm in 4th gear is a lot longer than the red one, so we're just seeing a little bit more noise, as I call it. It's not as smooth. Now, in some cases, there could be an instance where you have some stuff going up top, and easiest way to see if it's just a dyno or actually going on with the car, you can sometimes pick it up in the log, in the data log. You can actually pick it up with the RPM signal as well. You know, so if you're having like, if your RPM comes from the distributor, if you're having like a distributor type issue, in this case it comes from that. Not all cars get their RPM from the distributor, because not all cars have a distributor. But what I'm trying to say is, I'm trying to figure out why we're losing this power. Now, when we took the exhaust off, power climbed more and we made more power, like I said. And since we're still getting the dip after the header has been disconnected from the exhaust, well, then we know something else is going on. So let me pause this so I can sit down and get my tripod. So I want to show you guys something. I'm back, and if I didn't make it clear too, I wasn't fully finished with this tune. I stopped in between because I was trying to see if we're having that issue. But so you can see the red. I'm starting to smooth out the tune. Things are getting a little bit better. The blue is actually a little bit smoother, but you know, a lot of stuff comes into play with a dyno tune. This is why when you know, you hear somebody say I was tuned elsewhere and it only took them about an hour, there's so much involved in every car. And just by moving VTEC around, what you're seeing here is I'm able to move VTEC a little bit down the road, which is carrying the power out and increasing the power band, which, so I don't want to confuse you guys, the bottom blue line is torque, and then the bottom red line is torque. Just look at the difference I mean, look at the difference. 10 more foot-pounds of torque, and power-wise, we're at, sorry, it's a long day, 12 more horsepower. So that's what you're gonna feel. That's gonna be the difference. So yeah, we have this little dip coming down here, but it's what I have to work with the setup. So just trying to get every little last drop of it that I can get out of it safely. And as you can just see how much smoother it's getting, that's all part of the process. And I wanted to make it clear that I wasn't finished with the tune. I'm showing you guys in between here as I'm stopping and trying to pass along the knowledge in my brain to everyone out there. Hopefully you guys understood what I was trying to say in that whole segment. I wasn't expecting it to go that long, but it was one thing after another where I felt like I can do a video here and explain more to help educate you guys and show you. At the end of the day, the big picture is there's a lot more to a dyno tune than what you see and what you may know. And I don't even remember if I said it, but we get phone calls or we get people that come in and we hear it all. You know, hey, I was tuned elsewhere and I had such and such problem, I need help. And then we'll ask, well, what did your tuners say that could have been the problem? Oh, you didn't give me any info. There's more to it than just here's your power. Or and let me rephrase that. I believe there's more to it than here's your power, that's it, see you later. That's why I like to always make my appearance if I can on pickup. If you have questions, you can talk to me directly. I make a list when the car is on the dyno if we're having any kind of issue, and then I print it out and I give it to you. I also hear, well, you know, why does it take 3 or 4 hours for a tune? I went elsewhere and it took 45 minutes, or it took an hour, or my buddy went elsewhere, took 45 minutes, took an hour. I don't even know if I explained that in this portion of the video, but it's just the whole thing. What I'm trying to get at is there's a lot more to a dyno tune than what most normal people think goes on. You know, it's in this instance too, a lot of troubleshooting, a lot of experience comes into play. You know, what we think can be the likely cause of it and whatnot. So hopefully you understood everything. I got a little bit more sleep, so I'm a little bit more fresh, but I am still a little bit, I'm a little bit behind still. So if you made it to the end, as I say, thank you for watching. Please like and share. If you haven't been on our Facebook, and I did mention this earlier in the video, I am really starting to push to do something for men's mental health. If you are interested in that too, reach out and email. And I will say this, the main goal is to have people have an outlet. And if you want to be part of it, but maybe you don't want to speak, and maybe you just want to come and listen and maybe take that in, you can still email. We'll get you on that. We'll get you on that list and get that whole thing going on too. So thanks for watching.